The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Doing fine. It's been a difficult week, but glad to be able to talk baseball.
My condolences. You lost a friend.
Yeah, he was 77 years old. Very smart guy from New York City. Went to Rensselaer Polytech Institute in New York, and then got his PhD at Columbia. Worked at the they call it SLAC, the Stanford Linear Accelerator, and then went into business for himself. Had 4 children, beautiful home in Los Altos Hills. Did very, very well financially.
Lived a good life.
But had health issues, and unfortunately, a combination of a bad heart and lung cancer took him. So, what can you say?
Was this the gentleman that you went on the cruise with last year?
No. He also went to Rensselaer Polytech Institute.
I remember that.
He was an engineer. He was at the funeral today. He's almost back to normal. He's able to drive again. He's going out. He's resuming all his normal activities, doing much, much better.
Oh, that's great. I know he's close to you, and it's a horrific accident he suffered on a cruise of all. You want to recount that?
Yeah, we were talking about today. We had stopped in the Seychelles on January 7th, which was a Sunday, and everything in the Seychelles Islands shuts down on Sunday for whatever reason. Nothing was open. So we had gotten off the ship, Isla and myself and the 2 other couples, and they had 2 little shopping kiosks set up, and there was not much to buy there, and it was very, very hot. I sat down on a curb, and Isla said I had turned red from the rays of the sun. And they were hot, it was humid, and it's an island. And there were only 2 roads on the island. One went around the island, one went over the top of the island. And two of the 3 couples did not want to go on the taxi ride around the island, and the one couple did, and they found another couple to go with them. And we went back on the ship, and about 2 o'clock we're having lunch on the pool deck of the ship, and the maitre d' comes in and says they're loading your friend into an ambulance. And this is a guy, this big guy, is about between 6'2" and 6'3", weighs about 300 pounds. And he had slipped down a flight of concrete stairs at the top of the mountain. There were no handrails on it. And he told me today he was holding on to his wife when he slipped. And had he not let go of her, he would have pulled her down with him.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he had a place to land.
No, so he let go of her. And he went down and he broke 7 ribs, 3 in 2 places. And we were in a place, the ship wanted him off on Sunday. And if they could have left him stay in the Seychelles, they would have. But the Seychelles never received the order from the doctor for a CT scan, and they brought him back to the ship. And our next stop was in the Maldives, which was, this was Sunday. We didn't get to the Maldives until Wednesday. And my memory of, the most compelling memory that I have, the poor guy they brought him back to the ship, and he was sitting in his room in a wheelchair, just staring outside, looking outside in extreme pain, difficulty in breathing because of the ribs, and the pain medication not working. And when we got to the Maldives, the ship literally threw him off. They got him off the ship as soon as possible. He had to pack up all his clothing, and here he went into a 3rd world hospital, and the conditions there were horrific, and he was there for 8 days until they airbacked him to Singapore, where he got some decent medical help. But fortunately, he's on the mend, and he sounded pretty good today.
Oh, wow. I'm so happy he's recovered, because that's been at least a year now. Am I correct? Or
Well, it happened in January, so it's 9 months, 10 months.
9 months coming up on that. So.
Yeah, the fellow that passed away, I have to tell you, was not a sports fan. He was a scientific guy.
He's to be forgiven.
But if
may he rest in peace anyway. And he doesn't. He's if not. Anyway, go ahead. I'm making light of it.
But if he were a fan, I'm sure he would have been a Yankee fan because he was from the Bronx.
Oh, okay. Well, our fellow Bronxites on the station, David Hubler and Michael Preminger, we do a show, Bronx Roots. We would have enjoyed him as either a listener or a guest, but that's the way it goes. I'm sorry for your loss.
He was a very bright guy. The rabbi said that he would go in and he would study the Talmud, and that's how you got to be pretty smart to understand all that stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and pious. He's a pious man too. Let's give him that. So tell his wife Gornisht Helfen. You know what that means? Nothing. You know, Jerry. Yeah, I was explaining it to you.
You forget.
I forget. I'm sorry. You know why I forget? Because you're always passing.
Thanks.
You're certainly not passing in the press box. We have our good mutual friend Ken Korak. Who's, I must say, this man gets better, his voice gets better, like Lon Simmons, each year. The older he gets, the more he sounds, it just sounds great listening to him. He's got those pipes, as they say.
One of the best. I told Ken this, and this is when Bill King was alive. I told both of them that when they do the broadcast, it sounds brand new every day. Brand new.
Absolutely.
It's not rehashed stuff. And where they are, and they do stats like everybody else, but they don't dwell on the stats. They describe the game and they make it interesting. I remember when I was living down in L.A., Ross Porter was doing the Dodgers game, and Ross, God love him, would come on and he would just lay out stat after stat after stat, and that's boring. It really is. I hate to tell you, it's interesting for some people, but it's boring for most. Most people want to know about the players, the situation, the stories of the game, that type of thing.
All right, Jerry. I lost my train of thought. You're so engaging, Jerry. You're so personable. Let's tell our audience for a second that those talents transcended into your being in business, and that's what got you to the A's. Tell that story.
I came to Alameda in December of 1979. I bought Alameda Drug and was going to venture out in business for myself as a sole proprietor. I had a partnership in L.A., and, partnerships are like marriages. Sometimes they work, and sometimes they don't work.
That's for sure.
And today is the 28th. Well, 3 days ago was September 25th, and on September 25th, 1978, my former partner's son was killed in the PSA plane crash in San Diego.
Oh, wow.
And that began to unravel all the events that took place after that, which caused the partnership to dissolve. And my late wife, did not like living in L.A. We lived in the San Fernando Valley. It was too far. She had to drive 50, 60 miles a day just to take the kids around, go shopping, do her errands. She was living in a car, and it gets very, very hot in the San Fernando Valley in the summertime. And and I had met some people in San Francisco, and they said, well, why don't you come on up here? So I sold my partnership. We dissolved the partnership, And with the proceeds, I was able to buy Alameda Drug and move up to Alameda at that time. And in 1991, I've been in business for 11 years, 12 years. Barry Weinberg, who was the trainer for the A's, was having lunch across the street in an Italian restaurant, came over into the store and came up to me and said, "How would you like to work with the team?" Just out of the blue like that.
Did he know you at all before that? He must have known you casualty. Excuse, got drugs, and it's going to be a casualty if you mix drugs with. Not my kind of drugs. But my kind of drugs are fine. It's your kind of drugs. Isn't that the way it always is? Whatever one's vice is, well, mine is okay, but yours is bad.
Right.
It's human nature. And we all got something going, one way or the other.
Yeah.
So you meet this is Barry Weinberg, who's the trainer, and this is back in the Tony La Russa days. And how exciting! And did he know you were a baseball fan as well?
Nope. Had no inclination whatsoever.
Wow.
Incredible. So I said to him, "What do I have to do, and how soon do you need it?" He says, "I'll send you a list of the stuff that we use," and I gave him some prices on it. And I didn't hear anything for the 1992 season, but for 1993, about a month before the season started, I got a call, said, "We'd like to have you come on board." And just like that, I was with the team for a number of years, and it was really a great experience. The team, the years that I was there, the team was not very good. At the end of my time there, the team had Hudson, Mulder, Zito. They were coming on board, and Miguel Tejada, Eric Chavez, Jason Jambi. So you could see that the team was going to be good. But when they went to the playoffs, I was done with them in 2000. So, but I'm still a baseball fan. I still went to the games, and I would go to Giant games too, wherever there's a baseball game. But I was an American League guy because I grew up in Boston with the Red Sox, and I followed the American League. I know you grew up in New York. You were a Giant fan, so you're a National League guy.
Absolutely. I was a New York Giant fan back then. I became a Met fan when they left, and I ended up spending most of my life on the West Coast, so you can't win for losing. Now I follow my team long distance, which is easy now, was difficult. But I'm a Giant apologist, and I've taken a love of the A's from you and Nancy. So you made me part of the family, as it were. And this is pretty cool. You want to talk a little bit about how this year is going? Jerry, honestly, for the first time in my life, I have spent 3 consecutive days on CNN only, not paying all but cursory attention to what's going on. Are the A's going to catch the Yankees? You know what we're going through with this, and what ended nicely this afternoon. It's Friday afternoon, and they're going to call the FBI in on this. And I could not have asked for anything more. No matter what they find, at least they're trying to get to the bottom of it. And I just want one of the two that is lying outright to be shackled and go to jail.
Well, yesterday, as you know, I was in L.A. This week. My lovely companion, Isla, had to have an MRI done, and we had some problems with that, so it made the trip a little bit more difficult. But we left L.A. on Wednesday. We stayed in Solvang overnight, and on Thursday morning, yesterday, we were returning home, but we had the TV on at 7 a.m. because we wanted to watch the hearings. And we both believed that Christine Blasey Ford was totally credible, and her testimony was totally riveting as we watched her tell her story. And I was taken back by the fact that the Republicans were afraid that if they questioned her, they might come off as being too harsh or whatever. They had to bring in a prosecutor to do their work for them, whereas the Democrats did. Yeah, that was kind of surprising.
But let's pay homage to a man who's going to retire from the Senate anyway, was not inclined at the beginning of the day to vote against Kavanaugh, but what he did after he was reluctantly trapped in an elevator for 5 minutes with the most articulate protester in the world. It was just a godsend that this was caught on CNN. And they've got the full tape. It will be iconic. It will go down. They will be referring to this because he's changing the way this decision not to approve this guy. And I say don't approve him. Accusations notwithstanding, this guy is dangerous. This guy wants to turn us back, Roe v. Wade. This guy wants to let presidents get by with nobody investigating them. He is a horrible human being. He is a Bushite, and he is already making the Supreme Court political by saying that he's hoodwinked by the Clintonites. So he will be, he should be not approved no matter what the FBI says, but they'll come up with something. I just want one of those two people to be held accountable for putting the country through whatever it is that we're going through. And for me, I'm missing my baseball. That's not right. So,
well, I was pleased. I was pleased this morning because we were at the funeral. I didn't hear anything about flag changing, coming up with a solution, or the incident with the woman in the elevator. I was a little upset because Flake said he was going to vote to confirm him, and I thought that the vote was going to be held later today or tomorrow, or it was held today, and it was 11 to 10, and it was going to go to the Senate. And then I heard what happened later, which was really something, because he said he would not vote for confirmation unless the FBI investigation was done. And that is a whole different change. That was a whole change.
Yeah, this is what they call a machaya. For us that have followed it all this time, it's been a tough week. It's ending well, and and we don't have much time. So would you bring us up to snuff on what's been going on with the A's, playoffs coming up? I honestly can tell you I don't know if there is a chance they can catch the Yankees. Is there?
The only chance that they have is for the Red Sox to sweep the Yankees and for the A's to sweep the Angels. And the chances of that are very, very slim. If the Yankees win one game or the A's lose one game, the Yankees will get home field advantage because the Yankees have the tiebreaker.
Absolutely.
And the tiebreaker is the record within the division. And the Yankees have a better record in the Eastern Division than the A's do in the Western Division.
It's not without possibilities, though, because the Red Sox have just been playing off the charts. And let's put it this way. It's probable that they'll be playing the first game in Oakland. Is there...
No, there's a possibility, but it's a very long shot.
I'm sorry, in New York. I meant to say.
The A's
on the road in New York. Do they have plans? Do they have plans for a starting pitcher?
No, and there's an interesting take on it because it's a one-game playoff. There's rumors or there's intimations that the A's may go make it a bullpen game. They go out and start Liam Hendricks, and they're going to they'll use Trinan for 2 innings. They'll use Fernando Rodney. They'll use Yusmeiro Petit. They'll use Sean Kelly. They'll use Lou Trevino. They have their bullpen guys. They can get them 6 or 7 innings.
Yeah. And
to
say nothing of Familia.
Familia too. the problem with Fiers is that he's a fly ball pitcher. He's not a ground ball pitcher. And once that ball gets up in the wind stream in Yankee Stadium, there'll be that fence out in right field. It's 314 feet down the line, but it doesn't go out sharply to center field. And right field is about 320 feet, 330 feet. And that's nothing in right field. You go into ballparks, it's 360, 380 to hit it over the fence.
Yeah.
And so all the right-hand hitters practice hitting the ball out to right field because just an ordinary fly ball is going to be a home run. And that's why the Yankees have been so successful there.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if they went to the bullpen. Went to a bullpen game.
It's very, very possible to use that.
Just based on that, because you're more likely to get a strikeout or a ground ball from a closer, and they're not all closers now, but guys like Familia, they closed on a regular basis. Who else do they have that's been?
They got Fernando. They got Fernando Rodney.
Rodney for years with Minnesota. Last with Minnesota. Good deal. If you're going to go in and shock a team, shock fans that are following Yankee fans following a 90-plus win season, and all I hear is complaints.
What do the A's have won 96 games? So they can end up with 99 wins. That's good for first place in almost every division in both the American and National League. They have got more wins than any of the first place teams in the National League. They got more wins than the first place team in the AL Central. And the only reason they're not winning the division is that they got the Houston Astros in the division.
Right, who seem to be coming around. This is a well-oiled machine, Houston. So,
they got players.
Yes,
they got
do.
Players, and they got pitching. I don't think their bullpen. They got Roberto Osuna from the Blue Jays, and he's been pretty good for them. I'm not sure that their setup guys are as good as the A's bullpen, but their starting rotation is terrific, and they can get 6 or 7 innings from guys like Verlander, Cole, Tyko. I think Charlie Morton may be out, but they only need 3 pitchers. So
right.
They're going to be in great shape. The Red Sox starting rotations has got question marks. Chris Sale, is he back 100%? Can David Price win? Will Rick Porcello be good enough to handle the pressure?
Okay, real quick, Jerry. If we get by the Yankees, who do we play first?
The Red Sox. The A's play the Red Sox.
Red Sox.
They'll have a short trip, and they handled the Red Sox during the regular season. They won 4 out of 6. And, of course, the highlight was Sean Manaea's no-hitter against the Red Sox in April.
And sadly, he's going to miss. He's going to miss the playoffs.
He's going to miss all of 2019 also. So he won't be back to 2020. And the rest of their starting rotation, I think Fiers came in later, Jackson came in later. I don't think they faced the Red Sox at all. So they got all different. The Red Sox are going to be seeing different pitchers. So it's going to be, it's the best 3 out of 5 in that series, and maybe the Red Sox can beat them to go to the ALCS. And and Houston is playing Cleveland. I think Houston is a much better team than Cleveland, so I suspect Houston will go up against the Red Sox or the A's. And that would be fine with me, either team. And I still think that Houston is the team to beat in the American League.
Well, you never know about Cinderella, and Cinderella could be wearing green and gold this year. Hope so.
Absolutely.
For your sake, and Nancy too. Jerry, thank you as usual. You're terrific, and we'll do it again before you know it.
Now, next week we have guests from the UK. That's to our listeners. That's from the United Kingdom, England.
Yes. Oh, well.
And I'll be tied up next week, so
we'll do it the week after.
I'll talk to you in 2 weeks. and hopefully I'll be able to catch the playoff game on October 3rd. If I don't have a TV, I'll be getting the information off my cell phone.
Beautiful. You're going to be in the UK, or you're going to have folks from the UK?
No, they're visiting here.
Oh, okay. Well, you might introduce them to rounders. I think, don't they call it rounders? Or is that something?
Oh, yeah, you mean the game that was derived from cricket.
Ah, but it's close to baseball. Cricket's close to baseball. And God bless you, Andre Rogers, wherever you are. Thank you, ladies. You knew what I was talking about, Jerry. Be well, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We'll be back before you know it, as I say, with or without Jerry. We may have Nancy live next week. How about that?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Be well. Thank you, my friend.
All right.
And thanks again, everybody, for listening. Adios.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.